All right, I left off a little early on the last video. I forgot to talk about the duds and the dregs. When you are all out of cards, all out of good cards to pick, you're just left with you have the leftovers. You want to look for filler creatures if you're low on creatures. These would be the vanilla creatures, the 2-drop 2/2s with no abilities at all. They may or may not go in your deck, so but you're left with drafting it and seeing if they'll fit. Any remaining removal cards, so maybe situational removal. Just in case you're low on removal, you can still include it for situations. And then any remaining mana fixers. So if you're running 2 or 3 colors and you need some mana fixing and you're low on mana fixing, we'll grab any remaining mana fixers and you might be able to fit it into your deck. All right, now the new one, draft strategies on colors, mana fixing. So not mana fixing. First, we're going to talk about cutting off a color. You're getting cards from the player on your right, okay? Now, you want to lock down a color in pack 1 so the players to your left don't pick that color. So if you just drafted a bomb in green, you want to be cutting off green. Make sure the player to your left is not getting the good green cards, all right? If the player to your right is cutting off a color, let's say they're drafting green, and now all of a sudden you don't get any good green, you better adjust or you're just getting the leftovers. Now you need to find the open color, which is not an easy thing to do. All the players are hiding their cards. How do you know what color is open coming from your right? To be really good at this, you'll need to research the good commons in the set. That's the website that I like to go to and just read over the commons. Okay, they're going to start out with all the bombs. We're not going to see a lot of those. We're going to see a lot of commons. If you are past an Aven Eternal on pick 4 or later, then blue's probably open. That's a great blue common. If you're in blue, you'll be drafting it. If you get past this card late in pack 1, that means the players to your right are not drafting blue. So you know that blue's open and you can start going for that, start cutting it off. Primary and secondary color, try to stick to your primary and secondary colors. If there's a really good card, you might be able to splash. You might be able to splash a third color. To do this, you'll need to draft mana fixers. So here's 3 cards. We're going to talk about the difference between a mana fixer and a mana ramper. The first card, Paradise Druid, can add 1 mana of any color. That is called a mana fixer because let's say you have your green, you have the Paradise Druid on the battlefield, but you don't have blue. Well, that creature can add blue. But then Llanowar Elves only adds green. That ramps your mana. You can get to big creatures faster, but it won't get you any blue mana or white mana or black or red. Same with Nyssa's Triumph. That's a double green, so you're pretty heavy in green if you're playing this card. You get to search your library for 2 basic forest cards. Okay, so that's, again, just ramping green. Now, I mean, if you have the Nissa Planeswalker, then you can get whatever lands you need, but you can't bank on getting this card and Nissa out at the same time so you can fix your mana. This is a card for ramping. The mana fixing artifacts, we've got 4-drop, enters tapped, kind of stinks, but adds 2 mana of different colors. So that's pretty powerful if you're in 3 or 4 colors. Guild Globe is pure mana fixing. You get to draw a card off of it, so that's great. Pay 2, you draw a card. But the thing is, the ability, you have to pay 2 colors, sacrifice that card, then you get to add 2 mana of different colors. So that's like 3 or 4 color deck, and you need to ensure that you get your cards off in the early game. That's the card you need. Prismite, 2-drop, 2/1. Pay 2, add 1 mana of any color. So you're kind of losing a mana on this, but at least you're getting the colors you need. Again, this would be like a 3-color deck, paying an extra mana to make sure you play your cards. Mana fixing lands. Whenever you cast a Planeswalker spell, you gain 1 life. Oh, great, okay. Adds 1 colorless. And then you could pay 1, tap that land. Oh, this is only for Planeswalker spells. How about that? Okay. But you add 2 mana of different colors, and this is only for Planeswalkers. Cool, okay. Evolving Wilds, I don't think is in the set, but this is a mana fixing land where you sack it and grab whatever color land you want out of your library. Rupture Spire, enters taps. And you have to pay 1 just to keep it on the battlefield, but it taps for any color. I don't always get mana fixers because sometimes you don't need them. This card right here, Krenko 10th Street Kingpin is probably going to be in a fast red deck, maybe splashing a second color. So a lot of archetypes don't need mana fixers. 1 or 2 color aggro decks won't need to waste cards devoted to mana fixing. Prinko 10th Street Kingpin probably belongs in a fast aggro deck that's mono red or splashing a second color. That deck would not need to dedicate cards for mana fixing. All right, let's see what our time. All right, let's see if I can make it through. So, card rate. This is level 3. We're getting into some hard topics here. I imagine everybody's kind of on board with what I've talked about so far. This is where it separates the good players from the bad. Here we go. The value of a card compared to the mana you spent. All right. Card rate separates the good players from the bad. Good drafters can open a pack of cards and put them in order of card rate. If you can logically argue that one card rate is better than the other, then we say the card is strictly better. Here is a 4-drop 3/3. Notice it's an old card. They don't really make those anymore because they're terrible. 4-drop 3/3 with no abilities. This one is a 4-drop 3/3 with an ability. That card, Star-Crowned Stag, is strictly better than Trokan Highguard. Some card rates are harder to evaluate than others. The rarity of a card can generally tell us the better rate. So here we have a 4-drop 3/3. When it attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. I like that ability. I like that card. The other card is a 4-drop 3/3 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, another target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains flying until end of turn. So they're kind of hard to tell which one is better than the other. Now, Magic the Gathering, or the Wizards of the Coast that made these cards, made the Star-Crowned Stag a common and the Imperial Orosaur an uncommon. And you get better card rates at the uncommon and rare and mythic rare levels. So they have decided that flying 3/3 is a better rate than the Star-Crowned Stag. Here we have Star-Crowned Stag, common. Imperial Orosaur, uncommon. Then the Gale Powder Mage is a rare from, I think, Lorwyn maybe. Whenever Gale Powder Mage attacks, exile another target creature. Return that card to the battlefield under the owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So that one, clearly the best rate out of any of them. That ability, you could pay 5 for in a draft and still be happy about it. All right, how about card rate at the common level? So common creature math. 6 mana should get you a 6/6 common creature. 5 mana should get you a 5/5. 4 mana should get a 4/4, right? Primordial Worm is a 6-drop, but why is it 7/6? It's because you had to pay 2 green. Okay, so it's a little bit harder to draft, but not really that hard. By the way, it's not that great of a card because it doesn't have trample. It's decent, but all right. And then Sunblade Angel is just a 3/3, but it's 6 mana. So we paid again. So a 3/3 should cost 3 mana, right? Well, that's 6 mana, so that means we're paying 3 mana for flying, first strike, vigilance, and lifelink. Not a bad deal. The pros and cons of these cards. Obviously, big beefy green creature is not a bad gameplay. Okay, but 6-drop, you can't have many of them, and it doesn't have trample. Sunblade Angel, great card. 6-drop is a little tough to play. Can't have many of them in your deck. And late game, 3/3 might not be what you need. But flying, first strike, vigilance, lifelink, that's probably a good rate. Here's a really difficult one. So sometimes it's really difficult to determine the better card rate, even with different rarities. So one's a common, one's an uncommon. What are the pros and cons when comparing these cards? So Ill-Gotten Inheritance is a 4-drop common. At the beginning of your upkeep, it deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain a life. If you pay 6 mana, sacrifice that card, it deals 4 damage to target opponent, and you gain a life. So it's a win condition. Clear the Stage is a 5-drop uncommon, so probably a better rate because it's uncommon. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you may return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's a little conditional, but good rate. What's funny about these 2 cards is the 2 websites that I talk about have rated these differently. So Draft Sim, I think,